Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're going to be looking at AI and bioinformatics,
Yeah.
which is super interesting because bioinformatics is all about using computers to analyze and understand,
Yeah.
all that complex biological data we have. And
Yeah.
today we're going to be looking at a paper on BixBench, which is this new benchmark that's designed to test how well AI can actually handle
Yeah.
real-world bioinformatics problems and the results.
It's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe before we jump into the nitty-gritty, maybe you can give us a quick overview of what BixBench is and why it's so important.
Sure. So BixBench, it's kind of like it's almost like an obstacle course for AI. And it's designed by
Okay.
experts in bioinformatics to test the limits of what AI can do. And it's made up of 53 of these like realistic bioinformatics scenarios.
Wow.
And each one has like raw data files and then they challenging questions. And the idea is, can the AI analyze the data? Can it choose the right tools? Can it write the code? And then ultimately, can it answer those questions just like a human bioinformatician would?
Yeah, it sounds like they really went all out to make this a tough test
Yeah.
for these AI agents. So, like, what would an example of one of these BixBench challenges look like?
Okay, so let's say an AI is given data on like gene expression levels across different cell types.
Okay.
And the question might be something like, identify the gene that's most likely responsible for this specific cellular function.
Okay.
And to figure that out, the AI needs to, analyze all this data, compare the expression patterns, and then draw a conclusion based on what it understands about, biological pathways and without any hand-holding.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
So who are our AI contestants in this bioinformatics showdown?
So the researchers, they focused on two of the leading large language models. So there's GPT-4o from OpenAI
Okay.
and Claude 3.5 Sonnet from Anthropic. These are like some of the most advanced AI systems out there.
Right.
And they're known for their ability to process and generate human-like text. So,
Yeah, the big names in AI, but how do they get these AI models to actually like work with the data and the tools, in a bioinformatics setting?
right. It's not like they can just...
It's not like they can boot up a computer and start coding.
Exactly. Yeah, so to do that, they built this special agent framework using a platform called Aviary.
Okay.
And so this is like a translator. So it allows the AI models to interact with the Jupyter Notebook environment, execute code, and then access all the data they need to solve those BixBench challenges.
So we've got our expert design challenges, our AI superstars, and then this translator to help them navigate the world of bioinformatics.
Right.
What happened when they were put to the test? Did they live up to the hype?
Well, in the open answer challenge, so where the AI had to provide a written answer to the question, the best performing model only got 17% accuracy.
17%. So that means they could only answer like 1 in 6 questions correctly?
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised by that. I was expecting AI to perform a lot better.
It's
What do you think might be holding them back?
That's the million-dollar question. And that's what we're going to explore in part 2 of this deep dive, because there's some really intriguing insights into why even these advanced AI systems are struggling to master the art of bioinformatics.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and dig into those juicy details.
Good.
Okay, so we left off with kind of a cliffhanger,
Right.
these cutting edge AI models, the ones that are, all over the news for being so good at language. They didn't really ace the BixBench exam.
Right.
What tripped them up?
Well, so the researchers, they dug into the results, and there were a few like fascinating patterns that emerged.
Okay.
And one that really stood out was the AIs struggle with like interpreting plots and visualizations. So even the models that were supposed to be multimodal, able to process text and images,
Right.
they had a really tough time extracting like meaningful insights from visual data.
You keep saying multimodal. What does that mean in this context?
Sure. So a multimodal model, that means it can handle different types of input,
Okay.
like text and images. So in
Yeah.
BixBench, that would mean that an AI could analyze, the written description of a problem and then any like charts or graphs that go along with it.
Right.
You would think with all the advances in computer vision, AI would be a whiz at this, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what's the issue then?
Well, it turns out that understanding a scientific plot, it's not just about recognizing shapes and colors.
Right.
It requires a deeper level of comprehension. The ability to connect those visual patterns to the underlying data and, the scientific concepts. It's kind of like the difference between seeing a musical score and actually like hearing the music.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It makes me think back to like grad school, when you're staring at a graph for hours,
Oh, yeah.
just totally lost. And a lot of times it was because I was misinterpreting like a key variable.
Sure.
Visual data can be tricky even for us
Oh,
humans.
absolutely. And that
Yeah.
seems to be like a big hurdle for the current AI models. They can process the visual information, but they just struggle to extract the meaning behind it, the way a seasoned scientist would.
So that's one area where AI needs to improve. Were there any other like patterns in their mistakes?
Yeah. And this one might surprise you. So remember how the models have the option to choose like insufficient information?
Right, like, I don't know.
Exactly, instead of answering a question.
Yeah.
And they chose this option quite a bit,
Mm.
especially in the multiple choice challenges. And now you might think that's like a sign of weakness, but
Yeah.
what if it's actually a sign of valuable caution?
That's a good point. It makes me think, are we too quick to dismiss AI's caution?
Right.
Like maybe that insufficient information response is a sign of like responsible scientific thinking,
Absolutely.
something that we want to encourage in AI, not eliminate.
Exactly. It really challenges us to rethink, what we consider successful AI behavior.
Right.
Maybe it's not about always having the right answer, but about knowing when you don't know and being honest about those limitations.
So these AI struggles are not just about, technical shortcomings. They might actually be revealing something deeper about the nature of scientific inquiry itself.
Right.
What does this mean for the future of AI in science? Is this like a setback or is this an opportunity?
Wow, it really feels like we've stumbled onto something pretty deep here. Like these AI struggles with BixBench, they're not just about algorithms and data, are they?
Right.
They're raising all these questions about what it actually means to think scientifically,
Absolutely.
to reason, to draw conclusions, and even like admit when we don't have all the answers.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? Like we're trying to build AI that can mimic human intelligence. And in the process, we're discovering just how complex and nuanced human intelligence actually is.
It really is it like holding up a mirror to our own minds.
Yeah.
And realizing that all the things we just take for granted, like intuition judgment, that ability to connect all these seemingly disparate pieces of information,
Right.
it's incredibly difficult to replicate that in a machine. Yeah, and perhaps that's like the most valuable lesson that BixBench offers.
Yeah.
It's not just a test for AI, it's a test for our own understanding of intelligence itself.
So where do we go from here? Is this the end of the road for AI in science, or is this just the beginning of a much more interesting journey?
I think it's definitely the latter.
Yeah.
BixBench has exposed the limitations of current AI, but it's also illuminated the path forward. We need to focus on developing AI that can not only process information, but actually understand its meaning,
Right.
draw inferences, and reason about complex relationships.
And maybe, just maybe, we can learn a thing or two from AI's struggles.
Oh, for sure.
Like that insufficient information response, that willingness to admit uncertainty, that could actually be a valuable trait, not just for AI, but for human scientists as well.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine a future where AI and human scientists can work together,
Yeah.
each leveraging their own unique strength.
Yeah.
So AI could help us analyze, these massive data sets, identify patterns we might miss, suggest new hypotheses. And then humans could provide the context, the intuition, and the ethical guidance that AI currently lacks.
It's a pretty powerful vision, a true partnership between human and artificial intelligence, pushing the boundaries of scientific discovery.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into BixBench. I think we've given our listeners a really new perspective on the potential and the limitations of AI in science.
Yeah, I would agree.
We've explored the challenges, the implications, and some pretty deep philosophical questions raised by this research.
Definitely.
And I think it's important to remember that the journey of AI is also our journey,
Right.
a journey of discovery, innovation, and perhaps even self-reflection.
That is.
So keep those AI struggles in mind. They might just hold the key to unlocking even greater scientific advancements and a deeper understanding of ourselves.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.